So good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and dive on into Act 2, Scene 1. If you guys remember last time, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth were planning on murdering Duncan, and then, poor Duncan. I feel so bad for him. And then the fates smiled down upon the Macbeths because they went and brought Duncan to the Macbeth family home, their castle. It's not a home. And so, yeah, they are there. And Duncan is there for one night and one night only. And let's go ahead and begin. So Act 2, Scene 1. I feel so bad for Duncan. Like, I don't want to start Act 2 because I know what's going to happen to Duncan. And it's like, it's not good. So let's go ahead and start.
Two hours later, enter Banquo and his son, Fleance. They have a blazing torch with them to light their way.
How goes the night, boy?
The moon is down. I have not heard the clock.
And she goes down at 12.
I take 'tis later, sir.
Hold, take my sword. There's husbandry in heaven. Their candles are all out. Take thee that too. A heavy summons lies like lead upon me, and yet I would not sleep. Merciful powers, restrain in me the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose.
All right, so it is very, very late out and the night is black. There's like no moon out whatsoever. Now, who was asking for no moon or stars to be out? You have two choices here. Not Duncan. Yes, so Macbeth and also, and Lady Macbeth. Yes, definitely. So both of them had asked for the night to be as black as possible and no moonlight and no stars, and it happened. Oh my gosh. So nature seems to reflect Macbeth's wants and his moods, and whatever he wants, he's going to get. Well, isn't that just helpful? And Banquo can't sleep. So he's out there with his son Fleance, and he just keeps thinking about like what the witch's prophecy was for him, of that. He keeps like looking at his kid and being like, oh my gosh, my son is going to one day be king. And maybe not my son, but maybe my grandson or my great grandson. I don't know. I think that would go and like influence you a little bit of how you're going to be a parent, to know that your kid or your grandchild is going to go and be in charge of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It'd be like, what if your child was going to become president one day? Like, would that change how you parented? I think it would change mine. Like, I'm not a parent, but I think it would. And I'd be like, I'd be worried about what is that autobiography going to say? I would definitely be like, I know that kid is going to be like, my mom was like this growing up. I specifically remember this happening. Let me tell you this little anecdote. So I just know that would happen. And I think that would like totally influence my parenting style. But Banquo is not like Macbeth. He's not giving into the dark side, whereas Macbeth's just all like, he's all in. Let's face it. He and Lady Macbeth are just like, yeah, we're going to get him. Macbeth does embrace that dark side, but Banquo is heroic. He's like, no. If this is what is meant to be, well, I'm going to try to be the best person I can be in order to ensure that this happens, but I'm not going to go and try to change things to make this happen. So now there's going to be someone is coming.
Give me my sword.
Who's there? A friend?
Macbeth joins them with a servant who also holds a flaming torch.
What, sir, not yet at rest? The king's abed. He hath been in unusual pleasure, and sent forth great largesse to your offices. This diamond he greets your wife withal, by the name of most kind hostess, and shut up in measureless content.
So Macbeth is also out. Oh, I wonder why he's out so late at night. Remember, he's waiting for Lady Macbeth to drug the guards. And he's like, Macbeth, my best friend, what are you still doing up? He's like, hey, how's it going? He's like, you know, is it because Duncan gave your wife like this massive diamond as a thank you for allowing him to stay at your castle? Because like it's gonna be a massive diamond, you guys. It's gonna be like the heart of the ocean, Titanic size, like that big blue necklace thing. It's gonna be like that size. And Duncan's just all like, I really appreciate you guys being such good hosts. I just feel so safe here. And I'm not satisfied with only giving Macbeth the Thane of Cawdor title. So thank you so much. Here's this massive diamond in order to say thank you. And I really appreciate you. And they're going to go kill him. Yeah, I really wish that they had included that in their scenes. I mean, like Duncan being like, here you go. And her being like, what is this it? Oh, you're so sweet. I actually prefer something a little bit more stabby, but this will do. She's going to go and like put the big diamond like in a dagger and be like, look, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, so let's see what Macbeth has to say.
Being unprepared, our will became the servant to defect, which else should free have wrought.
All's well. I dreamt last night of the 3 weird sisters. To you they have showed some truth.
I think not of them. Yet when we can entreat an hour to serve, we would spend it in some words upon that business, if you would grant the time.
So Macbeth's just all like, oh, truthfully, that's nothing. I didn't even think of the diamond. It was a very nice gesture, but man, if we had had time to prepare, Duncan would have just been like blown away, probably literally and figuratively. Maybe they would have blown him up. I don't know. Um, he's like, there's no need for gifts. Just Duncan being there at my castle is gift enough. You have no idea how much of a gift this is for me and my wife. And so Banquo's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's nice of you. Cool. And then he's like, you know, I've been thinking about what those witches have said with their prophecy. He's like, it just keeps like going through my mind. And Macbeth's like, I think not of them. He's like, oh yeah, we did meet some witches. I've totally forgot about that. What? Oh yeah, what did they say? I Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Like it completely slipped my mind because it was so nice to have Duncan come here. It's just great. I mean, he's obsessed. He's super obsessed. And he realizes though that he has to be like kind of careful around Banquo. But then he makes this mistake. And he's like, I want to speak to you to discuss your feelings. And he wants to go and like kind of figure out whether or not Banquo would join in on his conspiracy to go and make Macbeth king and kill Duncan. So let's see. Because I mean, Banquo has always had Macbeth's back in battle. But this isn't a battle. Let's see what he does.
At your kindest leisure.
If you shall cleave to my consent when 'tis, it shall make honour for you.
So I lose none in seeking to augment it, but still keep my bosom franchised and allegiance clear. I shall be counselled.
So Macbeth is like, all right, he's my bestie. I'm gonna ask. So he comes right out. And he's not like, you want to help me go and kill Duncan? But he's like, if I become king and you help me with this, I'll make you look really good. Like you'll get some, new titles, things like that. And Macbeth, Banquo responds as an honorable soldier would, and he's just like, no, my bosom franchise and allegiance clear, I shall be counseled. Meaning, I'm loyal to the king. Go Banquo! Yay! But now Macbeth has to like bring it on back because he's just like, oh crap. I thought I could depend on him, but now he knows that I'm kind of like wanting to become king like kind of soon and that something might happen. So he has to be like, I was just kidding. You're awesome, man. Yeah, this is awkward.
Good repose, the while.
Thanks, sir. The like to you.
Banquo and Fleance leave.
So Macbeth's just like, yeah, I was just kidding about that. And Banquo's just like, okay, yeah, I thought you were. Well, I'm gonna go now with my kid. I'll see you later. He's like, bye. So crisis averted, and now he's all alone.
Go, bid thy mistress when my drink is ready, she strike upon the bell. Get thee to bed.
Macbeth sends the servant away and is alone.
Okay, so that is going to be the signal that the guards have now been drugged and that they're unconscious and that Lady Macbeth is ready for Macbeth to come on in and the two of them will go and kill Duncan now. So as soon as that bell rings, that's his like little alarm being like, come to kill Duncan, my dear, from Lady Macbeth. And so now this next part is going to be Macbeth's second major soliloquy here. And he's going to envision a dagger. I just love this part just because think of how great the actor on stage has to be because a real dagger would not have been there. But he has to be so good at this that he has to go and make it believe that he sees this dagger and that the audience can almost envision it too. So let's see how well this guy does.
In the flickering torchlight, he sees an apparition in the air.
Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain? I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this, which now I draw.
That's pretty good, right? So he's like, what? Dude, is that a dagger? He's like, oh my God, there's just like a dagger floating right there, right? Like going down the hall towards Duncan's room. Dagger's gonna go and stab Duncan. Yeah, it is. And so he's like, well, come here, Dagger. Let me go and get you. And he's like, well, crap. It just went through my hand. He's like, okay, it's not real. It's not real. He's like, but it looks so real. He's like, oh my, is that blood dripping from it? Maybe Duncan's blood? And he's like, wow, it's like, I can see it as if it is like the dagger that I have on like my side. And so then he goes and pulls out his own dagger. He's just like, let's compare. Do I still have mine? Oh, yep, yeah, I do. So then he closes his eyes because it looks so real. And then when he opens them again, the bloody dagger is gone. Macbeth, my man, you're losing it. But what great imagery there. Oh, I love it. This is like, it always reminds me of like in Sleeping Beauty. Remember when like, what is her name in that? Aurora? Okay, when Aurora's just like kind of under that spell and she's going towards the, what is it? The spinning wheel, I think. Spinning needle, thank you. Can you tell it's been a while since I've watched this? But I remember like that kind of glazed look in her animated eyes, and she's all like reaching out for it, and it's like that little green glowy thing, and she's all just like, "Oh, must touch." It's like E.T., with trying to phone home and everything. That's kind of how I envision Macbeth going after that dagger. Let's see what else happens here.
Thou marshallest me, the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools o' the other senses, or else, worth all the rest, I see thee still. And on thy blade and dudgeon, gouts of blood, which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now o'er the one half-world nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtain's sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder alarmed by his sentinel, the wolf whose howls his watch. Thus, with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides, towards his design moves, like a ghost.
So here are some more Roman references. We had some in Act 1 when Macbeth was being introduced. So Hecate is going to be the Roman goddess of witchcraft. Again, the Roman references are to go and make Macbeth not seem like as approachable or like the people that were going to be in the audience during Shakespeare's time. And Tarquin was a Roman king who acted like really noble and good during the day. And then at night, he sexually assaulted Lucrece. And the moves like a ghost implies that in the dead of the night, terror reigns. So interesting references. Kind of gross, kind of creepy.
Thou sure and firm-set earth, hear not my steps which way they walk, for fear the very stones prate of my whereabout, and take the present horror from the time which now suits with it. Whiles I threat, he lives. Words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell.
And that's the end of scene 1. So when it says, "Thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear the very stones prate of my whereabout, and take the present horror from the time which now suits with it." So that's going to be some irony that's going to happen later on, because let's face it, is Duncan going to die? Yeah. Yep. Like, I'm just going to tell you, Duncan's dying today. I'm sorry. It's very upsetting. I don't like it, but he's going to die. And Duncan's murder is going to go and trigger an earthquake within Scotland. Now, it's not like they're on a fault line, so that's going to be kind of strange. But the earth is physically reacting to the death of the rightful king. So that goes back to that pathos and the pathetic fallacy. And then when it says, "I go and it is done, the bell invites me," hear it not, Duncan, meaning, Duncan, don't wake up, because guess what? You're never waking up again. Oh, now remember, this is Macbeth's friend. It's his king. He's a good king, and he's just all like, "I got to do it. I'm going to go get you. I'm going to go murder you." Oh my gosh. Macbeth, calm down. This is horrible. But Macbeth feels that he must murder, and he's like, "I just can't be talking about it anymore. It's time to stabby stab." And then he goes off. And that's the end of scene 1. So now in scene 2, remember that the bell had just rung. That means that Lady Macbeth had drugged the guards. Therefore, they are now unconscious. She's going to be like right outside or right in Duncan's chamber. He's sleeping. And I'm just going to tell you this at the beginning here. Lady Macbeth is a little drunk. She's a little tipsy in this scene. Okay. So I was just kind of like to imagine her kind of walking around a little bit like Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's just kind of fluidy, like she has like a little wine glass and she's just going to be all like, it's 1:00 somewhere and it's right now. Just because that's just kind of how I envision her. So I thought I would share that. You're welcome. So scene 2. I lost my mouse. There it is.
Act 2, Scene 2. A room in the castle. Lady Macbeth enters holding a cup.
That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold. What hath quenched them hath given me fire. Hark! Peace! It was the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman which gives the sternest good night. He is about it. The doors are open, and the surfeited grooms do mock their charge with snores. I have drugged their possets, that death and nature do contend about them whether they live or die.
Who's there? What all?
So Lady Macbeth is just all like, she's like, yep, I gave the guards some wine. I'm also enjoying some wine, but theirs had a lot of drugs in it. And truthfully, I drugged them so much that they're kind of between living and dying, and I really don't care if they live. No, they're going to be different guards. It's not going to be Banquo and his son. So Banquo, just so you guys know, it's going to be like not even like a teen yet. He's going to be like maybe 9, 10, 11, 12-ish area. He's very young. So no, it's not Banquo, not Fleance. No, different guards. Guards are different. Banquo and Fleance are not there. It's guards who are always there. It's like the Secret Service, okay? So Secret Service, we're going to name them Phil and Bob. Phil and Bob have been drugged. She was just like, Phil, Bob, do you want some wine? And they're like, why, thank you, Lady Macbeth. You're such a great hostess. And she's like, drink up. Yeah. And she's like, I will have a glass of wine with you because I just enjoy having you guys here so much, Phil and Bob. And they're like, that's so nice. And so they go and drink. And then they're now like unconscious and like their breathing keeps stopping because they are that drugged. And she's just all like, this is awesome. And she's like, yeah, the wine that's drugged them, it's made me feel quite bold. I'm liking my life right now. And she's like, and I don't care if Phil and Bob die. Dang, Lady Macbeth. And then Macbeth is already in Duncan's chamber. And he says, who's there? He's like, oh my gosh, someone is in the room with Duncan and Macbeth as Duncan is getting stabbed. Oh, this is not going well. Wait, we're missing someone in the room. Who are we missing? Who was supposed to help Macbeth kill Duncan? But she's outside. Why isn't she inside? Huh. She partied too hard. Yeah, she's just all like, I had a little bit too much wine. Maybe. So let's see why Lady Macbeth is not in there. Oh, I mean, this was their date night. Date night plans. She's out there. He's in there. Lady Macbeth, come on. If you were all just like, oh, I could kill him. I could bash a baby's brains in. Why aren't you in there, girl? Why aren't you in there? Let's see why.
Alack, I am afraid they have awaked, and 'tis not done. The tempter, not the deed, confounds us. Hark! I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss 'em. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done't.
Oh, Okay. So Lady Macbeth went and drugged the guards and she took their daggers and she's like, I laid it right there next to the bed. He couldn't miss it. I mean, it's right there. What is wrong with him? Ugh. So she was in the room with Duncan. She was watching him sleep. Creepy. Okay, just creepy. Like, can you imagine if you're Duncan, you kind of like roll over and you like kind of wake up and you're like, you see Lady Macbeth just standing over you? I know that she's a good hostess and everything, but that's a bit much. Oh, I'm just checking in on you. Can I get you anything? Like the door to heaven? So as she was watching Duncan sleep, she realized something that she had never, ever, ever noticed before. Duncan happened to look exactly like her father. And she's like, ooh, can't do it. Nope, can't stab him. Exactly. Like she was saying in the previous act that she'd be okay with bashing her baby infant's head in while it was nursing. She was okay with that. But she couldn't go and kill a man who looked like her father, supposedly. She's all talk, no show. Absolutely. And remember how I kept saying that in the previous act of where it's a lot, very easy in order to be like, oh yeah, I would do this, I'd do this. But the action is very different. Everybody does have that one friend. So she left Macbeth, the one who she was like, oh, well, I just don't think he's man enough to do it. She left him in there to do it by himself. She couldn't even be, I don't want to say supportive because, like, let's face it, this is a bad thing to do. This is unacceptable. This is not okay. She should have been like, you know what? I can't do it. Therefore, you shouldn't do it. Let's just let him live. That'd be great. But no, she left him in there and she's just all like, do it. Kill him. So although she's not the quote unquote traditional woman for Shakespeare's time, she still has that soft woman within her that she was referring to. She's like, no, take out that soft woman and, replace it with the Gaul and let me go and murder. She couldn't do it. Let's see if Macbeth can. Or maybe Duncan lives and it's all happily ever after. No, it's not.
Macbeth enters. He is covered in blood and clutches 2 daggers, also stained red.
My husband!
I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?
I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Did not you speak?
When?
Now.
As I descended?
Aye.
Hark! Who lies in the second chamber?
Donalbain.
Is a sorry sight.
A foolish thought to say a sorry sight.
This one did laugh in sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, when they did say their prayers and addressed them again to sleep.
There are 2 lodged together.
One cried, God bless us, and Amen the other, as they had seen me with these hangman's hands. Listening their fear, I could not say Amen, when they did say God bless us.
So next door to Duncan were Donalbain and his brother Malcolm. They're sleeping. But as Macbeth raised, I guess, double daggers because he has to use both. So, wow, that's quite an imagery there. The 2 brothers woke up, but not completely. And they were saying, what they say? One cried murder. It's like they knew. Oh my gosh. And then they said their prayers and said amen. One cried, God bless us, and then the amen the other, as if they could see Macbeth with his hangman's hands. So he's just like covered in gore here, you guys. So the human body has how many pints of blood in it? Like 10, I think. Someone double check me. Someone fact check me. That's a lot of blood that is now going to, and let's face it, he probably nicked like an artery somewhere. So it's probably going up to the ceiling. It's going everywhere. There's going to be blood spatter. If you guys, it is 10. Sweet. English teacher knows. Heck yeah. Woohoo. So anyway, There's going to be all of this blood everywhere. He's just covered in it. Yes. Duncan is dead. Now, why didn't they show the murder on stage? That's a bit much. Yeah. And also, how are they going to do that back in the 1600s? It's not like it's a movie set. And well, I mean, they'd have to go and clean up that paint though, all within a very short amount of time. So it makes it almost a little bit scarier too to have it be off screen, to just imagine exactly how Macbeth did this. And also, that's just gross. Like, you don't want to show, especially for Shakespeare, who's writing this for King James to go and approve it, you don't want to go and show somebody murdering a king on stage. That's just a big no. But when Macbeth says, one cried, God bless us, and amen the other, as they had seen me with these hangman's hands, listening their fear, I could not say amen when they did say, God bless us. So this is a fabulous image here. Macbeth is unable to ask God for forgiveness because it's selfish. He knows he did wrong. He knows it. And therefore, he can't go and ask for forgiveness because he knew it was wrong. And also, he still wants to be king. So later on, he's not going to be able to sleep. Just like in Marlowe's play, Dr. Faustus, he has sold his soul and he has taken that first step because he wanted to be king. He just wouldn't go and wait and let it happen naturally and organically. Nope, he was just like, I got to take matters into my own hands. So now Macbeth is going to descend more and more and more into hell because he has willingly lost his soul. Now, this next part, I want you to listen for something that was introduced in Act 1 about sleep.
Consider it not so deeply.
Wherefore could not I pronounce Amen? I had most need of blessing, and Amen stuck in my throat.
These deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad.
Methought I heard a voice cry, Sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep, the innocent sleep, sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. The death of each day's life, sore labour's bath, balm of hurt minds, great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast.
What do you mean?
Still it cried, Sleep no more to all the house. Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more.
So from here on out, what will Macbeth be unable to do? He is going to be unable to sleep, and yes, he will go insane because he's unable to sleep. Where did we hear that in Act 1? Who else was going to be unable to sleep? The sailor, yes, the rump-fed Runyon's husband from Act 1, remember the chestnut lady? And he was going to be unable to close his eyes, and she was going to prevent him from ever sleeping again. Therefore, he was going to go insane and die. So this guy's already probably dead, sadly. I know, the poor husband, he gets the short end of the stick there. It is rough. Right. Right. He's just not going to be able to sleep. He can still blink, yes. And then we have those two images of, so image number 1, that Macbeth is murdering sleep. Now, can a person murder sleep? No, but that's a really great image. Second one is sleep that knits up the raveled sleeve of care, the death of each day's life, sore labor's bath, balm of hurt minds, great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast. So it's like something that's been knitted, and there's one little thread, one little loose thread, and he's pulled on that thread. What happens when you go and pull on that thread if you've knitted something? It all unravels. Oh, that's a great image. I love that one. That's great. And also, if Macbeth becomes king, he's now going to be afraid to sleep Why? Because he just murdered the king who was sleeping. And he had 2 guards, Phil and Bob, who were watching over him to keep him safe, and it still didn't work. Poor guy. Poor Duncan. Duncan didn't deserve this. Let's see how Lady Macbeth reacts to this.
Who was it that thus cried? Why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sickly of things. Go get some water, and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go carry them and smear the sleepy grooms with blood.
Oh, go no more. I am afraid to think what I have done. Look on't again, I dare not.
So Lady Macbeth is not exactly being supportive wife of the year here at all. I mean, Macbeth is in a very bad state here. I'm not excusing what he did, because what he did is not okay at all. Okay, so let's just get that straight right now. But he's seeing and hearing things. At the least, she should, I don't know, embrace her blood-covered husband and be like, it's okay, like, I'm here for you. I'm sorry date night didn't go well, but instead she starts like yelling at him and just like berating him. But she has no idea what he's done or what he's just gone through mentally. Again, I'm not excusing it whatsoever. I don't know what it's like to go and murder a human either, but I'm trying to be empathetic. It's kind of difficult, truthfully, because he was in the wrong. But she's just all like, it's fine. It's fine. Just go wash your hands and it'll be like it never happened. You just need a little soap and water. What is wrong with you? And then she's like, wait. You brought those daggers out? What is wrong with you? We had a checklist. We had the bell, we had to drug the guards. Then you had to come on in. Yeah, I kind of went off the checklist as well because I wasn't in there stabbing with you. But you were supposed to leave those daggers in there. Can't you do anything right? And he's like, I'm not going in there. No, nope, not, no. I am not, I'm putting my foot down, wife. I am not going back in there. Let's see how well that goes over.
Infirm of purpose. Give me the daggers. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt.
Lady Macbeth leaves with the daggers.
So she's like, ugh, you're useless. No. And she's like, fine, give them to me. I'll go on in there. She's like, you're acting like a child. She's like, the dead are like pictures, and only children are afraid of pictures. What is wrong with you? She's like, fine, I have to take over because you obviously can't face this. She's like, if he do bleed, then I'll just go and dip my hands on in there and then paint the guards with his blood. If he do bleed, 10 pints. You know that he nicked an artery. Well, severed an artery, not nicked it, let's face it. Now, is anyone like a true crime viewer or anything like that? Okay, have you sadly seen any, like, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. I can listen to it. I can listen to the podcast. I can't watch it because like the murder scene pictures upset me so much. Is it the lady who puts on makeup? I knew it. I'll listen to her, but I won't. You look at the murder scene photos. I can't do it. I can't. So the only reason I know how much blood a person can like spurt out is because once my mom fell out of bed and hit her head on the side of her nightstand and she nicked an artery. But wait, there's more. So this is back when my mom could still walk. So she was like, she didn't turn on a light. That's her first, well, her first mistake was falling out of bed, but that happens, whatever. Second mistake was not turning on a light, because for the next 2 hours, my mom went and like puttered around her apartment with the lights off. Why, Mom? I still don't understand it. She nicked an artery, and so the arterial spray was going everywhere. And so she finally, 2 hours later, turned on a light and was like, oh God. She was still up, she was still walking, she was feeling a little faint. Exactly. She lost a lot of blood, let me tell you. Like, she lost a lot of blood. She had to go to the hospital. She's fine. This was years ago. But I got a phone call like at 6:30, when school starts at 8, and they're like, yeah, your mom's going to the hospital. I'm like, oh gosh. And they're like, well, you can just come after work. I'm like, what happened? They explained. I'm like, arterial spray. No, I'm coming. The amount of like, what's that? Right. The amount of like blood and gore that had been matted into her hair. I still need a minute. Oh, it was revolting. It was so, because it had like congealed and everything. Oh, I shouldn't have had breakfast. And then I went to her apartment later. It was on the ceiling. I had to throw out her comforter. I had to throw out so much because it looked like someone had been murdered in there. And so every single time I had just started teaching Macbeth, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what Duncan's chamber looked like. This is what Duncan's chamber looked like. So she's just like, if he do bleed, I will go smear some blood on the guards. She has no idea what is going to go and happen with this. So let's see who's knocking at the door.
Whence is that knocking? How is't with me when every noise appalls me? What hands I hear? They pluck out mine eyes. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No, this my hand will rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green one red.
Lady Macbeth returns.
My hands are of your colour, but I shame to wear a heart so white. I hear a knocking at the south entry. Retire we to our chamber. A little water clears us of this deed. How easy is it then? Your constancy hath left you unattended. Hark! More knocking! Get on your nightgown, lest occasion call us and show us to be watchers. Be not lost so poorly in your thoughts.
To know my deed, 'twere best not know myself. Wake Duncan with thy knocking. I would thou couldst.
So Macbeth is very upset about this. Lady Macbeth comes back out, and she's just like, look, we match. She's like, let's just go wash up. It's fine. And then tomorrow or Monday, we're going to go and see who is knocking upon their chamber door.